Welcome to a new episode of Spiritualism in the 21st Century. I'm Shari Malin from Energy, Tarot, and Magic, and I'm so glad that you've joined me today. On February 9th, the full moon will be in Leo. This will be the full snow moon. It should be a day of harmony and moderation for you. You should try some harmonious physical activity as necessary. Maybe do yoga or take a Tai Chi class. Try to remain calm and balanced. You want to avoid negative thoughts and self-talk, aggression, anger, hate, and jealousy, and being provocative or loud. Now is the time to harvest and celebrate. All the work you've done to this point comes to fruition. Remember to celebrate your successes. It's very important not just to acknowledge that you've been successful, but to have a little celebration. The universe responds to that kind of energy. It's important to remember to celebrate your successes, not just acknowledge them. You can acknowledge it all you want, but until you actually celebrate, that's where the energy meshes up with the universe and the things that you want in your life start to come to you better. Celebration is a different vibration, and it's one that the universe really responds to. So make sure you're including that in your day-to-day practices. It's also important to remember that progress towards a goal is a success. As long as you're continuing to move, you're being successful. Celebrate even the smallest of wins, and be grateful and give thanks for everything in every day. Your emotions at this time might be amplified, and intense feelings may be on the rise, so kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So when you start to react to things in ways that are a little unbalanced or not matching up with the energy of the moment, go ahead and give yourself permission to take a step back, relax, take a few deep breaths, and then move forward. The full moon will be in the second house this month, and it can focus on manifestation, abundance, and security. Include your skills and talents in your assessment of your assets. Remember that abundance goes beyond just the material. For example, my boyfriend and I went out to dinner last night, and it's the first time we've gone anywhere in months because we just haven't had money. So we've stayed home and we've made the best of it. But a friend offered to buy us a few drinks, and so we went. We shot some pool. We had a great time, and then we got an invitation to go back to the friend's house. We were right down the street from my favorite Chinese restaurant, and I have not had Chinese food in months. I was so craving it. So we decided we would go. We went to the place. It was wonderful. It always smells so good when we go in there. And then we had the most amazing surprise. We ordered our food, and there were folks in front of us, so we just kind of stood back and waited. Indiana spoke with the folks behind the counter for a little while, because it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what kind of food you're eating. If there's a Mexican behind in the kitchen, the food is going to be good. And so he's speaking Spanish with the ladies behind the counter, and I'm holding my debit card just ready to pay so we can go and have our wonderful food. I get up to the counter, and the gentleman behind the counter says, "I don't have to pay. Someone else has already paid the bill." One of those kind strangers that were in the store when we got there chose to be kind, chose to share their own abundance with us. And we are so blessed with everything in our lives. Even when it feels like things are going wrong, they're still going pretty right for us. I mean, we drove from Texas to Georgia, and the car's clutch didn't stop working until we got to our driveway. That is abundance. That is blessings. And that is something I'm so grateful for. And I am so grateful to this stranger who decided to choose kindness and to pay for my dinner last night. It was a wonderful, wonderful dinner. It tasted so good. We had fresh food. It was beautiful. And thank you to whoever that was. When you express gratitude, you feel so much better. And it's important for you to get that feeling so that you can get used to having that feeling. It's a happy, healthy thing to be grateful for your life and how it's going. So express that whenever you can. During this particular full moon, you may also feel a strong desire to express your feelings for others. Tell people that you love them, express your appreciation for them and their place in your life. Turn up the romance and passion in your life. And if you happen to feel more insecure than usual, speak to your significant other and ask them for the reassurance that you really, truly need. I know I am so blessed to have a relationship with someone who, if I'm having one of those days where I just want to pull my hair out, I can say, you know what? You are not doing anything that is upsetting me. I am just upset. And he understands and loves me anyway. He also lets me say, I need reassurance, or lets me reach out and touch him when we're in public, especially because I get a little anxious and I just need reassurance that he's there and that he loves me. And I get that in spades every time I ask for it. So don't worry that you're going to bother someone by asking for reassurance. You need that reassurance. Ask for it. You want to practice exuberant generosity to yourself and others. This is going back to what I was just saying about being grateful for the blessings that you have. If you can be generous, be generous. It's not about money. It's about giving of yourself. And so if you have time for someone, give it to them. If you can offer them assistance, give it to them. If you have a couple of extra bucks, give it to them. Whatever it is, but you want to make sure that you are sharing your generosity and sharing yourself with others. Choose honesty over deceit, and with others and with yourself. It's so important to be honest with yourself. Do not let yourself lie to yourself. It only causes you problems. You want to open your heart, stand tall, and let your passions flow. You may also want to consider a dishonesty detox at this time. Check in with yourself. How honest are you with yourself and others? And if you're finding that it's leaning more toward the dishonest side, you definitely want to take a time and detox yourself with that. Look at your relationships. Which ones are you just kind of phoning it in for? Which are not genuine relationships that you want to maintain? Are you truly living your life in the way that you want to be? Are you expressing your honest self to those with whom you're in relationships? And if you're not, why are you hiding from them? That's a clue to look at yourself and your relationship and decide, is this one you want to be in? Because if you're not feeling free to be yourself with the people that you love, why are you with them? You got to answer those questions for yourself. Moving on, we move away from the full moon on the 9th to the 15th, where we have the moon in last quarter in Scorpio. This is an emotionally charged and sensitive time. You want to be aware of and try to mitigate the effects of irritability, mood swings, hysteria, big and small excitements, and desires to change everything quickly. This is the kind of moon where you're going to feel like, it's got to happen now. It's got to happen now. I can't wait anymore. We got to make it happen. And then you have to have a reality check and know that things don't move that quickly for the most part. You know, whatever feels like a long time to you is really only a momentary blink in the time that the universe has existed. So scale down your expectations a little bit. This moon will be a good time for self-analysis, self-improvement, and correction of bad habits and shortcomings. This would be a great time to look at, how am I going to improve how I treat myself, how I create, whatever it is that you do that's important to you. Look at ways to improve the ways you do it, rather and try and shed the things that are holding you back. This moon phase signals that something big is coming, so be on the lookout. Are you moving? Is there a shift? Is there some sort of revolution? This is a big energy time. And nothing about this phase is quiet or ordinary. So prepare yourself for 4 or 5 days of this energy, with the 2 days before and the 3 days after. It's going to be a very energetic, very loud, very stressful time. So you want to prepare yourself for this. Maybe set up a crystal grid that will help you stay calm and relaxed. Maybe spend more time in nature. Whatever it is that calms you and keeps you focused, that's what you want to do. So you may need to get away from the world for a little while. Turn off the TV, get rid of the news feed on your Facebook, and just be with yourself. Don't worry about what's going on in the world. You can affect it, but you're not going to change it today, this very second. So take a moment and breathe. You want to drink lots of water. Make sure that you stay hydrated. It's so important, especially as the moon wanes toward new. The energy is starting to slow down. You want to make sure that you're keeping your internal energy up, so you want to power that with water. And in your meditation practice, this is a good week to focus on your sacral chakra. This is where you find, sexual feelings, and you may hear your little biological clock ticking. All of those things are tied up in that area. That's also an area that if it's out of balance or out of whack, you're going to feel it in your relationships. So this might be a great time to get a chakra balance and alignment, or however you want to deal with it, but you want to concentrate on that. Some crystals you might want to use for the full moon in Leo include black tourmaline to shed negativity, carnelian to take ownership of your life, obsidian to release baggage, garnet to detoxify and clear energy, aventurine for abundance, and zebra jasper for calming and balancing the root chakra. Now, the root chakra is where our survival needs are met or not. And so when we're feeling out of sorts and we feel like things are not going our way, one of the best ways to put some balance back in our life is to take care of that root chakra and have it balanced and aligned, because then we can deal with what survival needs are not being met in truth, as opposed to what our energy feels it's not getting. All right, so those are the crystals. Some herbs that you can use to work with those energies as well are hawthorn, which is great for protection, hope, and warding off evil influences. Rose, which is good for love, romanticism, and poetry. It enhances female intuition. It's used a lot of times for love spells and talismans, protection spells and talismans, and good luck. And angelica, which is great for protection from illness, from hexes and curses, and negative energy. It's also good for blessings and connecting with the sacred feminine. Now, I talked a little bit about one of the things that you might not know is that you can make oils from your dried herbs in order to expand the usages for them. Angelica is one of those herbs that I just adore. I love the smell of it. I love the feel of it. I love the energy of it. What I didn't love were the little bits of the root that you use when you get dry herb. It's difficult to grind up. It doesn't smell good if it's burned, things like that. So what I would do is I would take my fractionated coconut oil, which is great because it doesn't go rancid. You can use it for almost anything as a carrier oil, and it feels really nice on your skin too. So it's not one of those really, slippery oils that just feel ooh when you touch them. So what you do is you take some fractionated coconut oil, and then you add the dry herb to it. Let it sit. Let the dry herb soak in the oil for about a month, and then check the scent of it. If it's strong enough for you, then it's time to strain it. If it's not, leave it in there a little bit longer. I've left it in there up to about 60 days, and it comes out smelling so wonderful. And then all of that oil is infused with the energy and the scent and ultimately the oil that's in the roots of the angelica. And then you can use that in things like bath water or any sort of oil combinations that you make. I have a lot of recipes for different oils for different purposes, and I use that one in the angelica in many of them, because again, it's just such a wonderful, calming, soothing energy that comes from that particular plant. So it's one of those things that you might want to try at some point. Don't stress yourself over it one way or the other. I just know, I think I looked up what angelica essential oil would cost, and I thought it was prohibitive, and so we made some infused oil instead. And you can do that with other things too. You can definitely do it with rose petals, because rose oil, actual rose essential oil, is hideously expensive. The same thing goes for chamomile, is the other one that's so prohibitively expensive that you may want to make an infused oil instead of worrying about trying to afford the essential oil. Okay, so moving on from crystals and herbs into, let's have a ritual bath for protection and connecting to the sacred feminine. It's important for women and men as well to be able to connect to the sacred feminine in themselves and in the world around them. When we don't connect with that sacred feminine, that's when we get the toxic masculinity and the ideas that women are less than and not as useful and all those sorts of things. So when you're feeling that way as a woman, it's time to reconnect with your sacred feminine. If you feel especially aggressive towards women, as a man, you may want to check in with your sacred feminine part so that you can make sure that you are behaving with honor towards all the people on this planet. So a ritual bath, what you need is hawthorn, rose petals, dried or fresh, whichever you prefer, and the angelica root or oil. You can put the root in with the other herbs, or you can put the oil directly into your bath, whatever you prefer. You'll need a cotton bag. And again, these cotton bags you can generally get at health food stores. They might call them tea bags, so you might want to ask for that. But they're usually really just about that big, and they're usually a tan color. They're really just to keep the herbs and whatnot from getting clogged up in your drains. So you need that cotton bag, and then at least 3 pieces of quartz, or rose quartz, I'm sorry, and a couple of pieces of garnet. Add all the herbs to the bag, tie it shut. Again, if you're using angelica oil, you can put it directly into the bath water if you want, or you can mix it in with the herbs as well. Set the rose quartz stones around you in the bathtub, around the bathtub itself, or in the water with you. I like it in the water with me. And then do the same with the garnet. If you prefer, you can put this, and especially if you're using very small pieces of the stones, you can put the stones in the bag with the herbs and it'll work just fine. Run your bath at a comfortable temperature for you, and then put the cotton bag in the water. Step into the tub and sit slowly in the water. Lean back and relax. Open your heart to the energy flowing in the bath with you, and let yourself connect to the sacred feminine energy you've raised with the bath, and let her come to you and share with you how to honor her more in your life. Or you can put on some soothing music and just listen to the universe. She will come to you. She will talk to you. She will tell you what things you need to know from her. Just let her come. Let all the negativity and stress flow away with the energies and into the water so they leave when you drain the tub. And when you're ready to get out of the bath, take the cotton bag and stones with you. You'll want to take the herbs out of the bag, let them dry, and then burn them to release any negativity they may have absorbed in the bath. And then cleanse the stones in clear running water, or by leaving them in the sun or moonlight. You can repeat this as often as you like. This is a really relaxing and comfortable way to honor the sacred feminine. So whenever you're feeling a little out of sorts, try this as a bath. Today's topic is finding space for your spirituality in today's world. I used to have a very large permanent altar space in my home. It was a piece of a dining set that my ex-husband and I refinished. And so I had this large piece of furniture constantly dedicated to my faith and my spirituality. And it took up a lot of space. Over the years, I've moved several times, and I just can't bring myself to keep collecting things, and especially large pieces of furniture. So I no longer have that piece of furniture. In fact, I left it with my ex-husband. But I think a lot of us are finding that with the way housing costs are going, we have to choose smaller and smaller homes. And maybe even like us, we are living in a master suite in someone else's home. And that means we have very, very little space. In addition, we had to move several times this year. We had to move 3 times in a month. And it was a long and arduous journey, but thankfully we're happy where we are now. But that also meant that we kind of culled through our things and decided what things no longer needed to travel with us when we had to move more than once. So I've had to cut back on ritual space and practices, although I don't know that I've really cut back so much on the practices as I have definitely on the space. I use a small contained space for my ritual work, and right now I'm actually using a cigar box. In fact, it's right here. This is my cigar box. So it's not particularly large. It's just a regular cigar box. Right now it has a destroyed crystal grid in it, which I will put away and reset for next time. But that's so that, my dog, our roommate's dog, nobody gets into it. And if it gets bumped, it doesn't spill everywhere. If I were interested in doing something a little bit more elaborate, I would just probably get a larger box. So I still celebrate. It's just on a much smaller scale. And I say that having come from, at one point, doing large outdoor rituals for up to 150 people at a time. So I know what it's like to be in the center of that kind of energy and working with that kind of wonderful camaraderie, to then have it reduced down to this little box that I have right here can be a little bit disheartening, I think is the word I was looking for. What you can do, especially if you're finding it's just difficult to find space to work with, try compartmentalizing. You know, set aside a corner, set aside a shelf, set aside a bookshelf, whatever it is, but make it this smaller space that is encompassed in its own place. Shelves and small closets are great. I, at one point, had a old vanity from, or not a vanity, a cabinet from a bathroom that when I turned it upside down, it made a little shelf on the top. It had 2 doors that opened up, and inside I could put things that I didn't want to get knocked over, those small things that might get lost. You can find something like that. I got it at a flea market. You can find them at yard sales, things like that. You may only pay a couple of dollars for it, but then if you hang it up on the wall, it's out of the way, and yet you still have your dedicated sacred space. Thumbtacks and command strips are your friends, especially the command strips. At the time, I had my own home, and I could put holes in the walls if I wanted to, and so I used a lot of thumbtacks. But I would hang seasonal decorations over my altar space every time something in the wheel of the year turned. So I had spring garlands and summer garlands and fall garlands and winter garlands, all of those things. I would put them up because having them up reminded me we're in this part of the year. It's time to enjoy the energies of this time of year. And it was a reminder of that is my sacred space, and that's where I can work and pray and be comfortable. Ultimately, though, all you really need is yourself. If you want to celebrate a slightly larger ritual in a smaller space, create a fire-safe place. If you're going to be lighting candles, use a bowl full of ice cubes and a sink. Use the bathroom sink. Somewhere where you can set a candle down. If it gets knocked over, it's not going to set your whole house on fire. You may also decide to start setting up and cleaning up a ritual all within the same day. I have done large rituals in the past, as I said earlier, where we would have more than 100 people and 2 fire pits. And it was set everything up, get everything together, have the ritual, shut everything down, put it all away. Obviously, when we were outdoors, we didn't put the fire pits away, but we had to make sure the fires were out and make sure that the ashes were spread and things that wouldn't set the entire neighborhood on fire. So you can do things in a larger way if you're willing to put in the effort and the work it takes to set it up and take it back down. There are also ways you can celebrate your faith with small gestures, but big energy and intentions. One of the rituals I repeat every time I go to the beach is I will bum a cigarette from someone because I don't smoke. I will tear off the filter and put it in my pocket. I will rip it open, put the paper in my pocket, and I will spread the tobacco into the ocean as a thank you to everything that the Mother Ocean gives us. I've been doing this for years and years, and every time I go to the beach, including the time I was just there in November, and I made sure I did it while I was there as well. This is a small, quiet gesture that you can do anytime, but it makes a big difference in my energy and my heart to know that I was able to take those few moments and spend that time connecting with my faith and my love for the divine. You can offer a silent prayer and thanks at any time, in any place. I do it all day long. Something will happen, and I'll think to myself, "Thank you, Mother, for this blessing, and thank you for your hand upon my heart." All of those kinds of things are prayers, and so there's no reason why you can't celebrate your faith with small gestures like prayers. Or you see the moon come up. Every time I look outside and I see the moon is up, I say hello. Good evening, Mother. How are you? Trying to reconnect with my faith and my connection with the divine. These are just some of the very small ways that you can enjoy your faith and enjoy your spirituality without having to make an overt gesture. There's nothing wrong with overt gestures, but when you live in a small house or you live in a house with other people, you may just not have the place or the comfort zone to be able to do the larger things. So that's just one thing that you can think about. Always make space and time for your spirituality, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. As I said, those small, quiet statements can mean so much when it's the only thing you feel you can do.
Watch my money grow, watch my money grow watch my money grow like a proud parent. Yeah, my money getting old and it's colder than the snow bunny. Happy get money, honey.
So I wanted to share with you a simple full moon ritual for the full snow moon on February 9th. What you will need are a couple of blue candles, some amethyst, a pen and some paper, and sage and myrrh incense. You can either get sage herb and myrrh resin and make your own incense, or you can find some pre-made incense. On your altar, you'll want to pre-plan just a little bit for this ritual. Consider any goals you might want to accomplish by year's end, and the goals should be attainable within the set time limits and should have reachable milestones. So you're going to want to plan out those goals and write out those milestones before you start this ritual. You want to set the blue candle on your altar with the amethyst and paper between them. Then open your circle as you normally would, whatever your process is. Invoke the divine and request assistance for the work you're going to perform. Something along the lines of, "My Lady Bridget, hail and welcome. I ask you to assist this night as I look forward to the coming months and develop a plan to reach my goals." Then light your blue candles. On the paper, if you haven't already done so, write down the goals you wish to accomplish between now and the end of the year. Remember to be specific about your goals. Make sure they are attainable and have a specific time period for achievement. Lay the amethyst on top of your paper and focus your intent into the stone. Clearly state your intent as you work. As the earth awakens and the energy rises, so too will I progress toward the successful completion of my goals. With the help of the goddess and my own actions, I will succeed. When you feel you have firmly embedded your intent into the stone, thank the divine for their participation in your ritual. Something along the lines of, "My Lady Bridget, thank you for your assistance this night. My life is fuller and more successful thanks to your influence in my life. Hail and farewell." And then close your circle as you normally would. After the ritual, you're going to want to allow the candles to burn protected until they burn out. And if you can't do that, you can blow them out. It's okay. When the candles have burned out, place the amethyst near where you will do most of the work necessary to reach your goals, so you can see it and benefit from the energy from the ritual. Keep the goal list and post it where you are able to see. You're going to want to use it again later in the year. This week's weekly Oracle Outlook reading is from the Empathic Oracle Card Deck. If you like this deck, you can order one for yourself on my website, which is energytarotmagic.weebly.com. The cards this week are Sympathy, Interest, and Sadness. Sympathy asks, what can you offer to others to let them know how you feel for them? What will you accept from others in this light? Interest says, what interests you today? Why? How can you cultivate that interest to feed your journey? And Sadness says, have you allowed yourself to grieve your losses so you can move on? Give yourself that gift and let yourself feel. This week's cards ask you to have compassion for others and yourself. Humans respond to others who sympathize with them in their plight. Remember that you too may need sympathy and accept it when it's offered. They also ask you to know that sympathy can tie into the Sadness card as you are asked to grieve your losses and let them go. Is there someone in your life you connect with while you work through these feelings of grief? Finally, Interest asks you to connect to the full moon ritual. What can you do to bring your interests into your life, and where can you use them to achieve your goals?